At it again, and oh man, CNN and Jim Acosta. What a shame. What a shame. It's been funny and entertaining to watch these leftists absolutely get demolished in these debates and discussions recently. We just checked out Larry Elder in The Breakfast Club. If you haven't checked that one out, definitely go and check it out. I mean, it is surgical what Larry Elder does to those folks on The Breakfast Club. Mwah, chef's kiss. And of course, today we have Vivek, or Vivek. I think it's Vivek is how you actually pronounce it. Vivek. I got to remember that because I'm always saying Vivek. But anyway, you guys know who I'm speaking about. Vivek Rameswamy, who is actually second in a lot of primary polls now, above DeSantis, which, that's not a surprise. Obviously, you guys have heard me speak about how I feel about DeSantis, and a lot of you guys feel the same way. So it's not shocking that DeSantis is continuing to fall in the polls, and I think DeSantis will actually end up in fourth, and somebody like Tim Scott will end up jumping over him as well eventually. But we're here to talk about the second place guy, Vivek, and how he just, once again, like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button if you are new. And if you would like to help me out even further with the YouTube algorithm too, watch this video to the very end. It helps tremendously to get this video out to more and more folks. It lets YouTube know that, hey, it's a great clip. So I would enjoy you sticking around for a while. Let's dive in.
Well, I think the former president is going to come up at the debate, whether he's there or not, and he's now facing his fourth criminal indictment, this time in Georgia on forgery, false statements, election fraud, and racketeering charges. You have said that these are political or politicized prosecutions, politicized persecutions through prosecution. Let's listen to what his former attorney general is saying about this.
People who defend him say that he genuinely did feel that he was robbed, and this was the good fight and the proper fight.
Well, even if he did, and I am dubious about that, but even if he believed that, that doesn't mean you can use illegal means to rectify it. If you think the bank is unfairly keeping your money, there are many things you can do to get it back. You can't go and rob the bank.
Yeah, what's your response to the former attorney general?
Look, I think there are deep legal flaws with this case. I'm talking to you from the Nixon Presidential Library, where I'm delivering a speech later tonight. We'll look at Nixon versus Fitzgerald. This is something that the press has altogether ignored. A president's acts while in office are something that he actually enjoys immunity for, other than through the impeachment process. So if he believes, even incorrectly, that he was looking after election fraud, that alone could be a defense. I also think there are deep due process failures. Let's start with the fact that Fulton County publicly posted the charges of the indictment even before the grand jury had signed them. That's a grave prosecutorial, bushy-tailed, overexcited mistake. That's a due process violation that itself could be grounds for a motion to dismiss. We also have to look at this prosecution in the context of the fact that there are three others, now four prosecutions in a series of months, all convening around a presidential election that sets a god-awful precedent, Jim, for this country. We do not want to become a nation where the party in power uses multiple different legal cases at the same time, pushing untested novel legal theories to knock out its opposition in the middle of a presidential election. That is not how we do things in the United States of America. And I say this as somebody who in many national polls is now polling second. It would be easier for me if Donald Trump were eliminated from competition. That is not how I want to win. I stand on the side of principle, not politics.
There are now four different
when I say
indictments.
we need to unite this country.
Yeah, let me jump in. There have been four different indictments. You don't think he's committed any crimes in any of these indictments?
I don't think any of the indictments have demonstrated that he committed a crime, no. And I've written on the pages of the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere wearing a technical legal hat, and you and I can go into that detail if you're
Refusing
interested.
to return
but
classified
I think these are
documents?
clearly politically motivated. Well, let's just take that one as an example. That indictment made zero mention of the Presidential Records Act, the most recently passed act that relates to a president, including an outgoing president's access to documents. The fact that this is a 49-page indictment, that one was, that was silent on that fact, reveals smacks of politicization. I also think that the fact that they used the Espionage Act, one of the most un-American acts in U.S. history, that has been used to round up anti-war activists that was used to lock up Eugene V. Debs when he ran for president.
But do you think it's okay to have classified documents? You think it's okay for you to have classified documents laying around the Ramaswamy household?
Is it okay for Joe Biden to have classified documents laying around the Biden household or in the Biden garage? Is it okay for Mike Pence to have classified documents? What about Hillary Clinton? Is it okay for any of them? All right, then.
No, it's not. But I think that there's a difference between a bad judgment and a crime. And the Presidential Records Act expressly
gives
the
came to him and
U.S.
asked for the documents back, and he didn't return them. They asked for the documents back.
Again, I would have made very different judgments.
And Biden, Mike Pence, or Hillary shouldn't have had them in the first place. So what about that? But of course, we're not allowed to talk about that because they shouldn't have had them in the first place. And that's the thing that, I've found with a lot of these discussions about the documents is everybody skips over the fact that Joe Biden, Mike Pence, and Hillary Clinton were never allowed to have them in the first place. They shouldn't have had them. People always skip to, Joe Biden and Mike Pence, they cooperated. They gave them back, so it's all good. It's okay. They gave them back. They shouldn't have had them in the first place. They skip over that. How convenient of them. Of course. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Look, Jim, I am running in the same race that Donald Trump is. So I'm not saying that every judgment he made was the same judgment I would make. In fact, it wasn't. But that is different from charging it as a crime, which I think sets an awful precedent in our country. If you want to get a little technical
in the federal
about
election
it, Jim,
case, he lied about the election. He tried to overturn the election results. Why not call him out for that as well?
I will remind you the Supreme Court's precedent in Alvarez, a 2012 case, which held that public officials, including politicians, have a First Amendment right to lie, to tell the truth, to even make statements they didn't believe, let alone the fact that there isn't a shred of evidence to suggest that Trump didn't even believe his own claims. And so we can get into the legal technical details all we want. That's going to happen in the courtroom. But as a matter of judgment, as somebody who is running to and expects to be the next president of the United States, my top job is to reunite this country. And my way of doing that is going to be to pardon Donald Trump on day one and to pardon really anybody else who was also the victim of a politically motivated persecution through prosecution. We have to move forward as a country. And I think this sets a dangerous precedent unless we actually pardon.
But Mr. Ramaswamy, you just said you want to wait for all the details, the technical details to come out at trial, but you're declaring beforehand that you would pardon him. Why not listen for the facts to come out at trial and then make that determination?
I'm saying it based on one assumption. The assumption is that the statements in each of the indictments are the most prosecution favorable statements we're going to get. Any legal scholar would tell you that is a fair assumption. In any case, the prosecution always puts up its strongest foot in the indictment itself. We haven't even heard from the defense. So yes, if there are gaping surprises that come up, there's zero evidence to suggest that Trump was selling those secrets to foreign adversaries for private gain. But if those facts come up, of course, I would revisit my judgment. But the fact of the matter is the prosecution obviously makes the most aggressive statement of its case in the indictment. And assuming that's the case here, as it is in any other case, I will absolutely pardon Trump on day one, January 20th, 2025, when I'm in office.
Would you pardon Trump's other alleged co-conspirators in both the documents and the election cases?
It depends on how the facts match up to the law. You don't take about the documents case. There are special features of the law that apply to a U.S. president. Literally, the Presidential Records Act treats past U.S. presidents.
But why say you would pardon Trump on day one, but not? But why say you're going to pardon Trump on day one, but not make that kind of blanket promise to the alleged co-conspirators? Shouldn't they get that kind of same pardon offer?
I'm favorably inclined. I'm favorably inclined to do it. But right now, I'm a competitor against Donald Trump in this primary, and I want to be very clear on the side of principle, though it's against my interest in this race. That's why I think in the interest of uniting this country, it is especially important to be clear about that fact. I expect to maybe making tens of pardons on day one. I think there are countless Americans who have been the victims of politically motivated persecutions through prosecution. Peaceful protesters on January 6th, January 6th defendants who actually have had constitutional due process violations. Julian Assange is someone I've specifically identified as somebody I would absolutely pardon. Ross Ulbricht, Douglas Mackey, others. But I think that the only way we're going to move forward as a country, there can be no reconciliation without truth. We have to put that past behind us. And my top job is going to be to heal the wounds of this nation to lead us forward. Because even look at the conversations we're having
Trump
on a
is going to
given day
heal
on
the
news.
wounds. Pardoning Trump is going to heal the wounds of the nation.
I do. I do think it will be a step towards healing the wounds of the nation. I think there are deep wounds in this country that are the consequence of systematic censorship, the weaponization of police force to accomplish political goals through the justice system. That is wrong. This is not an easy project ahead for the next president. I am in this race because I do see a lot of candidates on both sides motivated by vengeance and grievance. I am motivated by leading this nation forward. And the way we're going to do it is by restoring one standard of the rule of law for all Americans, restore the integrity of the justice system, and leave politics to politics. The people of this country should decide who the next president is. They're free to take into account all of the information that has been laid out by left-wing media, right-wing media, etc., to make their decisions. If they didn't think Donald Trump made good decisions, then they should take that into account when voting him out. But that is not the basis for a prosecution.
What about Trump making these threats and making these kinds of...
You know, and he's about to get real desperate here in a second. You guys are going to want to hear what he acts next. But, yeah, I feel like the people should decide. You know, they always talk about democracy, democracy, democracy. Okay. Let the people decide. Let them decide. Let it ride. But they know that the people will decide, we want Uncle Trump. We want Trump. And they're afraid of that. Terribly afraid of it. Because they know what's coming. They know exactly what's coming, you know. And it's going to be glorious because I don't think that they will be able to stop it. I think they have angered way too many people. They have awoken, way too many people, even people on their own side of the political aisle who have now said that they're voting for Trump, even though that before they didn't like Trump. And some of them still don't really like Trump, but they see and understand what's actually happening. I've seen those clips. I've seen them. Personally, I've watched them of people saying, yeah, I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm still really not a fan of Trump, but I understand and I see what's happening. So now I'm voting for Donald Trump. Yes, people are saying that, which is just wild to even think about. Like, you've pushed them that far. That far. I think they've royally messed up, in my humble opinion, but what do y'all think? Now let's get back to this.
What about Trump
for a prosecution?
What about Trump making these threats and making these kinds of inflammatory comments about the judge, about the special counsel, and so on in some of these cases? Do you defend that? Should he knock that off?
So I'm not familiar with the specific nature of which inflammatory comment you're referring to or not.
What about Trump making these inflammatory comments? Should he knock that off? That's not very nice. That's very naughty.
He's clearly deeply aggrieved by the fact that he's being prosecuted through 4 separate cases that have arisen at the same time in the middle of an election. Again, from my vantage point, I would make very different judgments and would have made very different judgments than Donald Trump. But that is a different point than saying this should be criminalized. That's where I'm at. So I'm not in this to defend
he says, I'm coming
Trump
after
or
you
anybody
if you're
else.
coming
I'm in this
after
to
me.
defend the nation.
But you've heard him say, you've heard how he said, I'm coming after you if you come after me. I mean, you've heard that, correct? Is that appropriate?
I mean, if he means that he's going to file a motion, if he means he's going to file a motion to dismiss, then he should absolutely file a motion to dismiss, which I think will be very embarrassing for the prosecutor and, frankly, very embarrassing for the entire
you don't think that that's
law
what he means
enforcement
when
apparatus,
he says that?
if that's indeed granted.
But you don't think that's what he means when he says that?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I have not.
Isn't there a
You've clearly
threatening undertone there?
You've clearly studied every word. Look, I'm going to be very honest with you, Jim. I have not read the specific tweet or social media post that you're referring to. I'm running for president. I'm looking at reviving our economy and declaring independence from China. I'm not parsing every social media post from every one of my other candidates. But broadly speaking, my whole point is there's a difference between a bad judgment and a crime. And the moment that we conflate
a lot of crimes
the
start
two,
with bad judgments.
that
don't
is
they?
the moment that we have a threat to liberty.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. A lot of crimes start with bad judgments, like these Democrat DAs and Democrat run cities or leaders of these cities who make bad decisions in, not really going after crime. And even when they do, the woke DAs don't really prosecute the crime. And then you have more crime. So, yeah, bad decisions lead to crime. And even more crime. So, yeah, you're 100% correct. Go talk to your Democrat-run cities. Chirac, New York, Memphis, okay, L.A., okay, Portland, right? Shall I continue? I don't think I need to.
Well, that's okay, but you actually have to have committed a crime to be prosecuted for one. So making a very bad judgment as a politician, that's a basis for a voter to make a decision. But that's how we've got to do things in the United States of America. We have to let the people of this country decide who actually runs the country, not a federal administrative police state. And I just think that sets a dangerous and deeply problematic precedent in this country. And that is why I've been so vocal against it. That is why I'm clearly committed to pardoning Donald Trump if he is convicted.
But you said earlier you would wait for the facts to come out. If there are some big surprises, you may reconsider that.
My assumption is that the worst statement of the facts, the most favorable version of the facts, is in the indictment. In 99.9% of legal cases, that's exactly how it works in the United States. And I said that on day one when I made my commitment that was my assumption.
So, yeah, there you have it. Once again, the left getting destroyed. And that's one of the things that I figured out a while back when I first began this journey of, discovering the actual truth. And it's the left's, talking points don't really stand up to debate. And I think that's why you don't really see a lot of debates going on, because they understand that where their party is and currently stands, their policies and everything else, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So when you have somebody like Vivek, sitting across from you, or even somebody like Larry Elder, who you guys know, I like Larry Elder. I've rocked with Larry Elder since almost the very beginning of this journey. Larry Elder is like an encyclopedia of statistics, and I mean it's incredible the way this guy pulls statistics out of his head. Larry Elder will quote a statistic from like 1972, hey, this demographic was here, this demographic was there, and I'm like, yo, how in the world do you remember all of this? Like, I'm like, goodness gracious. Oh, there was a study in 1998. I mean, it's incredible. But my point is, they don't stand up to debate. So when you do see them actually get into these types of discussions, which I haven't quite figured out why they do it, because they get destroyed every single time. Every single time. I feel like there possibly could be something that I'm missing. You guys can let me know in the comment section. If CNN just did this for ratings, to try to make it seem as if they're, non-biased. So if they knew that they would be thrown into the fire, if they didn't, I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comment section, but they get destroyed every single time. Like I said, we just checked out a discussion with Larry Elder in the Leftist Breakfast Club, right? Got absolutely destroyed. Even in the Breakfast Club's comments on their YouTube channel, they were getting destroyed. And I put that in the video because I feel like that was really, really important. Like reading what the people are saying, not just watching the video, but listening to the responses from the actual people that are watching it that typically tune into that type of content. And they were all saying, oh yeah, Larry Elder's making a whole lot of sense. Oh yeah, the Breakfast Club, these guys have gone off the deep end. Oh, hey, Larry Elder, that's the guy right there. It is incredible to watch. And I think the left, the leftist elitists are in some deep trouble. They are up Poops Creek and only one paddle in sight. I'll give them one, okay? And that is, these legal, challenges against Uncle Trump. That's all they have. And that's why you see them throwing everything in the kitchen sink at him. And, there's been speculation that Arizona will soon throw an indictment at Uncle Trump as well, which I think will be the final nail in the coffin for the left if they continue going down this path that they are on. Because, you know, the more of this stuff you throw at them, the more people are like, hold on, wait a minute, what the, you know, like what the, like what's really going on here? This is a bit crazy, you know. This is getting a little cartoonish here, you know. So I hope that Arizona throws an indictment at Uncle Trump, because it's going to wake more people up. And I know it's all bogus, in my humble opinion, and I'm sure you guys all feel the same way. You heard Vivek perfectly lay it out here as well. So I hope there's an indictment out of Arizona. I hope there's one out of Michigan as well. Bring it on. I hope there's another one somewhere else too. Throw it, pile it on, make it as cartoonish as possible. So even far leftists are like, hold on, wait a minute now. Wait a minute. 7, 8, 9 now? Really? 9? Are you kidding me? 9. You know, so, but what do y'all think? Y'all let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Do you think Vivek is also a genuine individual, or is this all a show? You know, because obviously he's utilizing the strategy that I think Ron DeSantis should have used in the first place. I mean, I don't think he personally should have ran, but if he was going to run like he currently is, this is the strategy that he should have utilized. You see Vivek everywhere. I see Vivek, you know, on CNN, on Fox, on MSNBC, doing podcasts with different. I probably could get Vivek on the show if I really tried hard enough, I'm sure, because he's just that open to just going wherever and having a discussion. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll try. Would you guys be interested in seeing me have a discussion with Vivek right here on the channel? Let me know. I might try to line that up if I possibly could. But, you know, he's been everywhere. I think that should have been the strategy that Ron DeSantis used. But we're not going to dive deep into that. I have my theories as to why that hasn't happened. I don't think he should have run in the first place. He would have been perfect for 2028. But, hey, I guess that's down the drain now. Y'all let me know what you thought about this one in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.